Welcome to the Relentless Minds podcast with Lori Jimenez, a platform where influential entrepreneurs get real and share their stories of challenges in life that they've had to face head on and conquer in order to be where they are today. Here, you'll get an inside look at the adversities that these individuals have experienced or are currently dealing with, in addition to their opinions on real life matters and philosophies in life. Most importantly, you'll learn what it takes to have a relentless mind so that you too can stay headstrong in your pursuit of a better future. In this podcast, you're going to get 100% authenticity from people that have figured out how to beat the noise that society creates and have a higher level of self-mastery. Hi, welcome back to my podcast, Relentless Minds. Today I have with me Eric Balance. Eric is a spiritual being who believes in manifesting greatness into life and knows that all of us have within ourselves the tools to accomplish our most desired goals. All we have to do is want it enough. Eric carries this concept into his life and into his professional life, where he is a business and fitness coach. Thank you so much for being here today, Eric. I truly appreciate you taking the time.
I'm super grateful to be here.
Well, so I wanted to first kind of start this off by telling you that I've been stalking you a little bit on your social media. And I just saw a recent post that you made about 3 events you're going to be going to for Tony Robbins.
Yes, I'm super excited.
That's the Mastery University, Unleash the Power Within, and Date with Destiny, which you're going to kind of travel all over the world for.
Yeah, so Mastery University, it's actually a concept called that Tony Robbins utilizes as Mastery University. He calls it Mastery University only because he believes that this is a university that we all were supposed to have but didn't. So I've been a huge fan of Tony's through the Power of Success. I went in Edmonton and in Calgary a couple of times, and the last one, it just really, something was pulling me more so to it. So it's actually 3 events. So the UPW that I'm going to is in London. Unleash the Power Within. Date with Destiny is going to be in they call it Cairns, Australia. I'm probably mispronouncing it somehow. And then Business Mastery is going to be in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Actually, when I read that, I was like, can I come with you? Because I've been meaning to go to a Tony Robbins event. And they have them locally here. They have in Chicago. I think they had one in DC recently. Yeah. So, I mean, he's all over the place. That's amazing.
He's everywhere. He travels nonstop. He's all over the place. And in fact, I'm going to tell you one of my huge goals is to do exactly what Tony Robbins is doing on a higher level. And there's zero doubt in my mind that I'm going to get there.
You want to tap into that? What does that look like? What's your dream?
Honestly, is to impact and influence millions of people around this world. Absolutely. I think that through my story and the capabilities that I have within myself, that I can wholeheartedly come up and show up in this world at a high level and help people tap into their own potential, into their limitless potential.
For sure. And I actually really like that you mentioned that, because he's like a mentor, right? And another guest I had on here, he actually worked with Tony Robbins at some point. That was like his start of his journey, of his mentoring journey, a coaching journey. And you yourself, I know that there was a point where you needed that sort of mentoring, right? So is that an influence for you now? You realize that value of a mentorship?
Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Mentorship has changed my life. I've had 4 different mentors already. And at each level of my life, having these mentors, I would actually say 5, because I had a bodybuilding coach as well. And everybody has their niche and their really understanding of where they get better and how to elevate you in different components or areas in your life. And I feel like it's hard to know it all. And if you really want to know how to get somewhere at an accelerated space, at an accelerated rate, that's how you do it. Albert Einstein, Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks, Harrison Ford, all these big, huge, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, everybody, that knows anything in this world or has made already a huge impact and influence has had a mentor.
That's super impactful, because I feel like you've done your research on that because I would have never known that they've had mentors. I just kind of thought they were geniuses just naturally.
It's funny how it's so, you feel like, wow, where did these people come from? How are they so great? But the truth is each and every one of them had help along the way.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, that's important because if anything, what I've learned is first, it's accountability, right? So accountability, but it's guidance too. And it's like having somebody there, like, that believes in you and that's kind of pushing you along, right? And it doesn't mean that you won't get there. Eventually, like these people that are being mentored will get to a point where they're able to mentor others because they've developed this way of thinking and acting on their thoughts and goals. But you have to get to that point. Like you're not there automatically.
Absolutely. You know what? Every pinnacle of anybody's career, nobody got to somewhere amazing immediately. I mean, Tony Robbins has been in the game for 40 years, right? Like that guy, right? Like you can't even compare to that, right? Like if you're just starting out. But the truth is, if you're willing to embrace the journey, embrace the moments, embrace the presence in your daily life, it's all within us. It's just really taking the steps necessary to get to that next level. The mindset is such a powerful component in my own life. I spent time away just alone, traveling to really get really in tune with myself. And, I think I've just maybe reached a tiny speck of what's capable, right? So it's an ongoing battle of learning and enlightenment. I think that that's so important to always embrace life and fight for it, because if you're going to always live in the certainty of life, I think it just gets so regular. And they don't think of the universe, think of life, think of plants or animals. That's how do you expand? You expand by doing things that you don't know, that you're uncertain of, that's the only way that you genuinely grow. If you think in the mind of I'm going to continuously do something because of security or certainty, then how are you supposed to explode? How are you supposed to tap into that unlimited potential within you?
Yep, because that's the thing though. It's like there's a fear too. Like people are so scared of going into the unknown, and that's so limiting. I mean, I've experienced it myself and I've had to overcome that same fear so I can speak to it. But it's like a fear when it comes to relationships, when it comes to business decisions, like personal life decisions. It's like, I don't know if that person's going to love me and be loyal. So I'm not going to go into that foolhardily, or like in business, it's like taking that risk, and you don't know what the outcome's going to be. So completely understand what you're saying.
It's such a embracing that uncertainty, embracing that fear, because what I feel like the fear is always resistance, just pushing against you. And once you push against it back against it, that's when you start to really get into your uncomfortable, past the uncomfortable, and now you're comfortable again, right? There's two valleys, right? Like you're at a low and then at a high, a low and then at a high.
So your mindset is super expansive and I love it. When did this start, your journey and all of this? Because you were telling me that it's been recent. So I want to know about Eric.
Yeah, so for sure. I'd love to get into this. So I would actually, my parents immigrated here from Poland to Canada, and, always struggled, always it's always been kind of like a battle, right? Ever since I was a kid. And I think for me, at one point in my childhood, I was tired of seeing my parents struggle always, and it was just difficult and really not understanding why it has to be so fucking hard, right? Why are there these kids, going to my school where it's they got the nice clothes, their parents have the nice house, and I just didn't understand, right? So for me, it was just it was really hard to comprehend, and I think for the longest time, maybe I was angry with myself or angry with my family. But what ended up happening is I started to rebel. And although I was always having good grades up until high school, there was a point where I started to rebel, and I started doing drugs. I actually became a crack addict. So I was heavily involved in crack cocaine over, 3 years of my life, from around 16 to 19. But before I even started doing crack, I started selling it. So I was selling it, and it just one thing turned into another, and fell into the wrong sort of friends, and got extremely addicted, where, you know, I literally would be gone for, like, my parents didn't even know if I was alive for 6 months out of the year.
Oh
sometimes.
my gosh.
Yeah, and it was like, I look back now and it's just like, wow, like, fuck, did I put my parents through some shit? Right? Like I put my parents, like, they've probably aged so much over those 3 years. And to be honest, you know, like, it was peaks and valleys, and really realistically, like, you know, there was times I got clean and then I relapsed and started right back up. And I think I was 19 years old, 19 or 18 and a half, somewhere, who knows. It's about 11 and a half years ago now. So, and where my dad, like, begged me, and he, like, to go to rehab, and, like, was just like, and I felt in my heart that I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't care enough, you know? So I just continued doing what I was doing, but I got caught selling drugs, because I was still selling and doing it, because now that was the only way I could really afford it, right?
Yeah.
Was to continuously sell it. So I got caught, and I fell asleep in my car, and the police kind of, you know, found everything in there, and I was put into jail for, you know, a couple nights until awaiting bail. I got bail, and, you know, fuck, some normal person was like, holy shit, I got caught. Like, fuck. I was like, nope, right back at it, right? So right back at it, didn't even care the following day, right? Just black-hearted, didn't care about anybody but myself. And it was actually shitty. So Christmas Eve, I had conditions, so I was supposed to stay at my mom and dad's, and, like, within this amount of time I wasn't supposed to leave. And I remember it was like Christmas Eve or something, late at night, and I was like, I wanted to go get high so badly. I took my dad's car, and he called me, and he's like, if you don't fucking come home right now, I'm calling the police and telling them that you're breaching. I was like, do it. I don't care. I didn't even care. And so I went, and I got high. I came home the following morning, and there were police waiting for me, and I got arrested. And I hated my dad at that time. I was like, I hate you, this, that, just hatred, right?
Yeah.
Just utmost hatred. And yeah, it was, I remember spending 2 weeks, you know, or 3 weeks maybe, just awaiting, like, a trial, because it was Christmas, like, around, like, so no courts weren't in session, right? Like, nothing was.
Oh my God.
So,
like, you had Christmas with your.
I basically missed Christmas, right? But not that, you know, my head didn't care about that.
Yeah.
About my next hit, right? I got out eventually. My lawyer, with my dad's help, of course, got me out. And what do you think I did? I got back into fucking doing drugs again. Like, it didn't even miss a beat.
And at that point, how old were you? This point?
I was 18, like 19.
Oh, okay. So it's this period of the 3 years.
Yeah, this is the ending. So now I'm, like, getting high, and my dad's like, again, beg me, like, please, can you just, like, really do this for me, or like, if you don't even, like, just do it for your future self. And something hit me when he said, like, future self, right? Something, like, in my head, I don't know, it was like the universe, God, like, an elevated state of mind, like, your future self. What does that even mean? Because in my mind, future self was, like, dead, in jail, fucked up, who knows, right? Like, I didn't even think of that far ahead.
Like,
right?
you were completely disconnected to even, like, caring.
Yeah, like, that far ahead, right? And it was funny, because I remember I actually went to detox. I went to detox finally, like, again. And I went into detox, and I tried to go to rehab immediately after, but there were no spots. So I had to wait like 8 days or something. And they want you to stay clean for 8 days. Are you kidding me? Stay clean for 8 days after detox. Like, that's impossible.
Isn't that, right? Like, painful?
For me, it's just like the withdrawals of, like, wanting it, like craving, right? It was like, it wasn't so much painful, like I would be, like, sick in bed or whatever, but it was like, I was hungry. I would eat like horse. For me, it was like a crazy nicotine craving. I don't even know. I can't even explain it, but I was never the guy that was, like, getting sweats or, like, I just really wanted to get high all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted you to wait 8 days. By the time 8 day came around, I was getting a ride there with another girl. I just got high the whole way there, and they neglected, like when they piss tested me on the get in, I couldn't do it, right? Same thing happened a week later. My dad this time tried to take me, but I couldn't stay clean. So the only way that I literally got into rehab, my dad peed in a cup for me.
Oh my God.
My dad peed in a cup for me. I tried to keep it warm, like put it under my armpit. When I went into the washroom and I poured it into the cylinder, the counselor felt it. He's like, this is kind of cold. And he looked at me, and I know when he looked at me, he was like, I looked at him, and I was like begging him for help with my eyes.
Oh my God.
And he let me in. I was there for 7 weeks, and it's changed my life.
Oh my God. Like you needed that. I
needed
that just, oh my God, that just makes me like wonder. It's like how many people, are like, they are not able to get this opportunity, even if they were to be high when they go in, and it's like, it changed your life. How many other lives?
It 100% did. You were supposed to be there for 5 weeks. I asked my dad, paid for an extra 2 weeks because I asked my dad. So I stayed for 7. Okay, so right there, I knew that I was a spiritual being because it was a Indian Métis rehab center. So it was very like it wasn't extremely like religious, but it was spiritual. Mm-hmm. So my parents are extremely religious, like Roman Catholic, Polish, right? So, but I'm not. I'm more of like the spiritual aspect. So I believe in like a higher being, state, God, of course. For me, it's just never. It was more about just being in your spirit, in your element, in your presence, right? So that's what I really loved about it. And it was like the occasions of like the sweat lodge and the sweat lodge, what it was like we would spend it with elders, and it's like it was so enlightening.
Yeah, okay? That's what I was gonna say.
It really was. And it was like I really started reading more, I started learning more, I started wanting more out of life. And
wow.
I mean, it wasn't immediate. Like after this all happened, my parents took me to Europe because I didn't want to stay alone, right? They took me for 2 months to Europe with them. We went all over Europe. Like we've always traveled, right? So we got to see some family and spent tons of time like with them. So it was really nice to just spend more time with them. I believe that whole trip saved my life as well. And then I came back and started working, right? Like in retail and I focused in like I worked at Lululemon. I don't know if you
I do know Lululemon.
I started working out there, and like it was like health was always a thing for me. I really liked it.
Wow.
So I started getting into like yoga and fitness again, and like I met like a girl, of course, and she helped me to a certain point, and then after that it was like, what's next? And I developed I got a journeyman welding ticket, so I went to like college and did like a trade ticket, right? Trade school college. So I worked in the oil field a little bit, and then I was like, this is not enough. I was still unhappy, and I still wanted more. So I went back to university and I got a degree, and I was able to, really utilize university at a new level, right? Like I got very involved. I was very like, all about the books and like learning and growing and like really giving more back, right? So I was like, the first year I was like vice president of the accounting club, and then the third and fourth year I was like the president accounting club, and then I became like an ambassador to the designation of the CPA, right? And all of this, like really, like I started being featured in different publications in the school, and it was like literally in my head, I was like, I'm going to be the best student. And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was the best student, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to get my shit together. And that's what I did. I got my shit together, right? And then, when I met a girl again, we ended up getting engaged, right? Great woman, awesome person. We had a lot of opportunities to, travel and see the world.
And how old were you at this point?
So at this point, I would say 26, 27.
So you graduated from school and
graduated from university.
Found the love of your life.
Love of my life. We got married I was 28. So at that point, we got married in Paris.
of course.
Yeah, so we got married in Paris. It was very romantic. It was perfect. It was a 10-person wedding, very small. And yeah, it was like, I had it all. Now it's funny because I went from rock fucking bottom, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And now I'm graduated and like high level student dean's list. I have multiple offers from big firms. I have a wife, I have a house, I have a car, whatever. Like I had what everybody thought they needed or wanted, right? In fact, myself,
the Canadian dream,
the American Canadian dream. Right? And I thought I was set, right? I was set for life, right? Like, but I literally, we got back from our honeymoon. We spent 2 months in Europe. After the wedding, we got back, and 3 months in this new big firm that I'm working in. I hate my life. I hate my job. I'm not this corporate guy. Yeah. I have so much more to offer. People were asking me to clean out a popcorn machine. Like, are you kidding me? I was like on the dean's list. You know what I mean? Like, people, lawyers, doctors, accountants. There's so many amazing people out there that get all this thing. And then again, you get out of school, you do these amazing degrees, and you're back at like ground level, right? Yeah.
Well, that's corporate. Corporate. And it's some like, I don't think I've ever been in a corporate position. I'm like you, where I've always looked for that next opportunity. It's like unsatiable. Yeah. You're in one thing, you're doing one thing. And I actually talk to my friends about this because it's like, I wonder if people think I'm unstable because I'll do something for a couple of months and I'll immediately figure out that's not mine. But you know what? I wanted to say something on that because it was Jim Rohn who said, whatever you want to go for, and I'm going to summarize it because I don't know it word for word, but basically whatever your goal you have, go at it 150%. Because you will know sooner if that's meant for you or not, right? So I can just be like, well, I basically give everything that I go after my all, and I know immediately if I feel it or not. And I mean, it doesn't take me a while, and then I'll just be like, okay, it's not for me. Next opportunity,
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like I don't believe that we're meant to do the same thing for the rest of our lives here.
Yeah, or the same or something for too long, unless. Yeah, like coaching, like, what Tony Robbins does since we brought him, he's done it for 40 years. It's like, but there's so much more impact. There's so much more purpose in that. He has 54 companies though. So he's always doing something different, right? Yeah, that's true.
Like, yeah, right. So he gets a lot of different diversity, right? And it's like, I was trying and it was kind of hard because I spent 5 years in university, right? And now I was working on my designation. So my designation was like another 3 years, right?
What degree did you get?
I majored in accounting, Bachelor of Commerce.
I hate numbers. 1 + 1.
See, I was very good with numbers. I've always been very good with numbers. But now I feel like I'm tapping into a lot of my creative side as well, right? Like, so, which is funny because, you know how they always say, like, you're either one or the other. You could be as many things as you want to be. So that's what ended up happening is, so I spent 3 months and I left, I quit, and I worked because it was a public accounting firm. So I turned into the industry side of things. So I worked because I told you before, I had like a welding ticket, like a deep pressure welder, right? So I worked as a welder in this company. So they hired me on as an accountant now, right? And same thing. I lasted 2 months and I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I'm done. So what happened is I went back to the oil field. And so just so you know, meanwhile, my wife is having a fucking aneurysm, right? Each time, because she's like, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean? Like, I signed up for a corporate husband, suit and tie, 9 to 5. Like,
she said that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So she's like, this is what
yeah.
So what are you doing now? But, super supportive, like, what are you doing now? Until later down the road, until it happened a few times, right? Like, so I went back to the oil field and I spent the next 2 years there making crazy good money. It was awesome. But I was still missing something. Like, I was making super awesome money, like over 6 figures, no problem. And I wasn't happy. I was gone all the time, 12, 15-hour days, right?
Wow.
Hated my life. I was like, I'm worth so much more than this.
Yes.
I am not going to just settle, live here, do this because of the money. Like, I'll figure out how to make money.
Or because of someone else's expectations.
Especially because of that.
Yeah.
Like it had to be because of like what I wanted to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we booked another trip to go to Europe, and when I got back, and I started working at a BMW dealership. I love cars. I got into sales. So again, what are you doing, Eric? First month, I'm like the best top salesman, right? So just crushed it. Like didn't even care, just crushed it. Because I put my mind to everything. Everything I put my mind, again, it comes back to like my focus, right? Is like once I do it, I'm doing great. So I'm killing it. I'm the best. Immediately in the first 3 months, they promote me to like the internet sales manager, right? Because they love my presence. They love that I'm involved. They love that, I know I'm savvy on the internet and whatever. Like the car industry is weird, right? Like you have to be very, it consumes you first of all, because you're always there. So you're really never turned off, which is fine if you're working for yourself, right? But if you're working for somebody else and you can never be turned off, then it kind of sucks. Like personally, I didn't like that.
Yep.
And then there's a lot of ebb and flow. And like when it gets really bad, it gets bad. You're like, I'm working for free right now, right? Like, which is fine if you're, again, working for yourself.
I know.
Right? When you're working on your own dream,
I feel like you started realizing something at that point.
100%. So, and this is where, like, this is exactly, thank you for bringing that up, because where exactly I was like, hold on a second. I'm not getting paid and I'm working my ass off to get these like people through the door. What if I start doing the same thing for myself? Okay. What if I start implementing the same strategies, the same work ethic, the same hard work for myself? Granted, I can't sell a car because I don't have like, 100 BMWs, in my backyard.
Yeah.
But I have way more other things to offer. And fitness has always been the one thing in my life that I've never left. Like it's been since that moment that I left rehab to today, to this moment, I've been working out. I've never stopped. So that was the one thing in my head. It was like, it was a aha moment. This is the one thing that I'm supposed to be doing. It's the one thing that has never gone awry. It's like I've always focused on it.
You're passionate about it.
I've been so passionate. And I had 2 bodybuilding competitions. I won my first one. I got 3rd in my second one, right? Like,
wow.
Loved it, right? Like, and now I just continue to stay fit because I love it. It's my time. So my buddy at the time, he developed and implemented his online business. So I hired him. I spent my last $8,000 that I had in my savings account.
Oh my God.
And I hired him.
So he was running his own online business.
Yeah.
Got it.
And he was mentoring other fitness coaches to do the same thing. So I was like, I seen what he done in the last 2 years, I seen his success and I really wanted it. And I didn't care, if it was my last $8,000. I didn't even ask my wife. I just did it.
You invested in yourself first.
I invested in myself first. And when she found out that I did that, she was so mad at me. Hold on a second. Let me take that back. She wasn't mad at me immediately. She was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But I felt the anger. Angela was a very good human being. She still is a good human being. She's an amazing human being. Our goals were very different, right? Yeah. And I think that's where we really started to fall apart. Because in between all of this, what I didn't tell you is I tried to open a business as well, where I lost $25,000 in between all of these different ventures. And it was like anxiety upon anxiety upon anxiety. And people, it's okay. Like sometimes people just need that security, right? Yeah. And I couldn't provide that to her at that time. But I needed to go in all in on my passion and myself.
Exactly. Yep.
Because otherwise I was just going to settle, and I was either going to I was going to start to really hate her because she didn't let me, or she was going to start hating me, right? Because I was just becoming a miserable prick, right?
Yeah. You were in a journey too. You were in this process of like finding yourself.
100%.
Like finding what you were meant to do in life. And like you can't control that when it comes. If that comes to a person who, like you, are a driver, like you're someone that needs to act, like it's innately in you. 100%. It doesn't matter what scenario you're in. Like obviously you saw that from when you were with your family. And I can speak to that because I've had that same sort of situation happen, right? Well, we're now, I mean, we've both kind of like controlled that to where we're not hurting people. But like in a past time in our lives, we were in this point in our lives where we were just like sort of an area of selfishness, you know? And it was just for that relentless pursuit of what we thought we wanted or needed at that time. I mean, like, yeah, it's tough, but
it was so tough. It was so tough. In fact, you know, I remember there was a Friday I had off from the dealership, and I was focusing on like learning and like really embedded and focused on like trying to get better at like, you know, trying to start my online business, you know, so the knowledge, whatever, I was studying, basically just really working, hustling on the side of my hustle. Right. And I remember she was calling me, and she was like calling me nonstop, and I was like, just leave me alone. I really want to focus. And she wouldn't give me the time of day. And like, I was like, I get it. You have your 9 to 5. You want to do that. That's cool. But I want to focus on this business because I really want to elevate us to the next level. And she's like, well, what are you doing? Like, this is so stupid. Everybody's doing it. Like, this is so dumb. Blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'll talk to you when I get home. And I talked when we came home. I was like, and we need to go our separate, or like, we need a break. Because this is like not working for me. I'm getting overwhelmed, and you're unhappy. You clearly show anxiety and things like this. And for me, it was like, what's the next step, right? Like, are you gonna, like, do you want to move out? Like, what do you want to do? So she moved to her parents. Mm-hmm. She moved to her parents, and then, you know, it's funny because like at first you're like, yeah, I'm focused, right? And during this time, you're just like, holy fuck, like this is my wife. Like I love her, right? Mm. I do. I love her. So how now she's leaving, you know, she's crying and walking out the door or whatever, like, you know, taking her stuff. And it just gives you so much pain because you know you love her. Yeah. But you're like, you want what's best for yourself as well. So it's like, at what point do you decide, fuck, like, okay, like, let's figure it out. Yeah. But you can't. You just have to believe in yourself and know that it's the right thing, because I wasn't showing up for her either. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I wasn't being a good husband. I wasn't being the man that she needed. She needed somebody that, you know, was there for her every day. You know, I was focused on myself. I was like, there was that component of selfishness, right? Mm-hmm. And she needed a man to show up for her. And I wasn't that guy at that time. I wasn't.
I think that it also comes to a point where's the line drawn where I lose myself in order to be something for somebody else who's not really me? And how long am I going to be expected to do that? Because I think personally, whether it was that you decided to make it work at that moment, it was either going to be a breakup at that moment, or it was going to be a year or 2 years or 3 years, or when the kids come, because, you know, you can't control that if it's you. And I mean, I've kind of seen that with people too, where they're a certain way when they're 20 or 22 or 23, and then they just kind of find themselves, right? And then they're completely different at 28, 29. And then it's either like that couple, they grew together and in the same direction, or they didn't. Yeah. And you can't control that, unfortunately.
No, and I agree. And I feel like that's where the hard decisions come, right? Like we're both crying, right? Emotions are everywhere. Mm. And it's like, did I do the right thing? Did I even like suggest the right thing? But then you like look deep down, you really deep down and like feel that pain, and you're like, no, this is the right thing. This is the right thing for me, right? You know, yeah, I got married, you know, I took a vow, whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to stay married if I'm unhappy, right? Yeah. And I think at that point, you know, we were separated now for 4 weeks, and, you know, we were talking once or like twice, 3 times, and then we start talking again. Like, okay, what's happening? Like, what are we doing? Are we going to figure this out? Or do we want to figure this out? And I think there was a point where at one point where we both kind of did. And I know I did. I know I was really like ready to maybe figure this out, make it work. I missed her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 2 weeks later, I don't know, something happened, right? Like whatever happened. It doesn't matter. But she's like, I can't do this. This is not happening. We're not getting back together. And I fucking sat there and I was like, whoa. Like I loved her. Like we got married. I still, even thinking of back to that moment, it brings back some serious emotion, because it's like, holy fuck, like this person I was supposed to spend the next rest of my life with, and we're not going to do that anymore. And I remember thinking to myself, after 12 fucking years, I'm going to go get high.
Wow.
Yeah.
After 12 years.
It was the most scariest, like my heart started pounding, Lori, like off the wall. Like my heart was just going crazy. And all of a sudden, my little cat Pickle, I was laying on the couch and I was crying, of course. And she sat on my chest and she started kneading, and she laid down and she wouldn't move. Some sort of power or element or the universe came over me and was like, a guardian angel was like, and I fell asleep. And
at your hardest
at my hardest time. Like, in my hardest time, right? I was gonna go get fucked up. There was no.
Wow. You were at the point.
I was at that point. It was so scary. Like my heart was like, how do I do this? How am I gonna figure this out? I need to do this. Like, I remember waking up the following morning, and I was back in the oil field because I needed to get back into the oil field. The reason I went back already to the oil field from the car dealership was because I needed to get like the mortgage back on my own name, right? Because we were separating, whatever, right? So I was in that process, and with me having that higher income, it was easier to transition or whatever, right? So, and that was like has been my like fallback plan, is the oil field. And I'm working on my side business.
You've got a lot going on.
Yeah. And my wife is leaving me.
Jeez.
So I'm spent. Like I'm literally waking up, going to the gym at 5:00 in the morning, making sure going to bed at like 12, getting 5 hours of sleep every fucking day, and working 12, 13 hours, and then on my side hustle. Right. So like just 20 hours, like 19, 20 hours a day for sure. And I woke up with this following morning after wanting to get just blitzed.
Yeah.
With the new power and elements in my life where I was like, I am going to like crush life. I am going to show up so powerfully in this world. I am going to do everything in my power to like just transition and change, because all this struggle is just giving me so much more strength.
Huh. You must have been proud of yourself for that moment. Like you faced your lowest low and you got past that. Like your lowest low at that point after 12 years, right? I mean, if you took that, your cat on your chest, like a sign from above, from the universe, like telling you, yo, slow down, you'll be fine. It's like that in itself was enough confirmation, man.
100%.
Intense.
It was so intense. And and since that moment, I ended up working in the oil field for probably another 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And my online business just started exploding.
Wow.
Just exploding. Wow. So I literally had to leave the oil field.
Which was making good money.
Which I was making good money, because my online business had become so successful, I needed to spend more time focusing on it.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So Incredible. It was amazing.
How long ago was that? Because that must have not been too long ago, this whole period.
No. So I've been in the online space now 10 months. 10 months.
Oh my God. Like fully.
Fully.
I have to say something about this. I
Yeah.
have to, because 10 months, 2 months, your night, that night was a year ago.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But you put yourself in a position where all of the noise was removed. All of this noise was removed and you were free to be who you were meant to be. And when you realize that, when you come to terms with like, hey, you look around, you're like, fuck, I can do whatever I want to do. You open the doors to so much growth.
So much.
That's so beautiful.
And now I get to help people. Now I get to see people succeed. Now I get to live life on my own terms. Like, I have such amazing freedoms in my life. I get to, wake up, go to sleep, travel, do whatever I want when I want. And the best part is like, I get to meet amazing people like yourself, like people from around the world that I would have never, ever, had the opportunity to meet, because if I wasn't online, I would have never met them. Right.
Yep. Or even just like looking for your purpose, because like these people are also at the same time, they're looking to connect. They value this, and you just don't find those people if that's not what you're seeking, if you're not in that space of human connection and enlightenment and expansion, So, I mean, like, yeah, you're finally living life after 30 years, and it's a beautiful thing, and you're going to keep growing. Like, I'm seeing all this stuff. And I mean, I scroll through your social media because I do this for all of the guests I interview, but it's kind of like even seeing the transformation of the things that were talked about, even like a few months ago to like recently, like, and I guess like hearing your whole story, like this quote, like I have a few, but I'll read this one that you wrote. It said, "The present is truly all there is to live for. The past is a mere memory and the future is an expectation. Turn the future into an appreciative appetite and not a certain one." And you've actually carried that throughout your whole life. This value of living in the moment. It's like, what is going on now? Like, you look at yourself right now, and I can understand that so much, because it's like, you don't think about what could happen necessarily. You're like, all I care about, all I'm worried about is how much pain I'm in right now. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to feel tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So it's like living in that present. When it comes with a healthy foundation, like you're freaking unstoppable. And that's what you are. Yeah.
I appreciate you. That means a lot to me. I do have to say, like, you expect you saying that quote, like, it just, I appreciate that because it allows me to reflect back, right, to, when I wrote it. And I remember writing it and thinking like, wow, it's so important. Like I'm wholeheartly with you right now. You know what I mean? And it has to be there. Like, I'm a pretty passionate guy. I'm a very passionate dude about so when I'm in a conversation, or if people feel that I'm fully in that conversation, and I don't understand, people are letting specific moments, these special moments, pass them by, like they're going to exist again in some near future, or expect that future is supposed to be coming. You know what I mean? I just want to be so focused on what's happening right now that, you get my undivided attention, that I give you my whole personality, that I'm fully here, that I'm fully real.
Exactly.
And, I had a difficult day the other day. I woke up and it was just hard. And I shared on my stories, like, fuck, I'm having a hard day. And people are like, holy cow, you're having a hard day? I was like, yeah, I'm fucking human too.
Yeah.
Well,
they don't expect like this big muscular, tough looking guy to have emotions, or at least express it. I'd say like that's powerful. And like that shows the strength too, that you have, that you're able to be vulnerable and just real with people.
You need to be, because if you're not authentic at the end of the day, how do you get people to believe in you or trust you?
Exactly. That's true.
Or connect with you, develop that relationship. Yeah,
for sure. You've been on this amazing journey, and I'm actually really happy that we came here at this moment, because like you are at the perfect time in your life where you can actually reflect and appreciate and express your lessons. Like, where looking back, you can say, I did this because of that. And actually, like, there's truth and there's growth in that statement. So like, and now like, you know, you're on a path. I mean, like you're going to go to all these events, and it's amazing to see how far you've come. How's your relationship with your dad, by the way, now?
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, he's great. Like my parents, I have a great relationship with my parents, my family, right? Like it's been great, and they're amazing. They support me. They've always supported like where I'm going, you know, right? Like super grateful for them. I'm blessed to have them.
And while you were like kind of jumping from industry to industry, what was the feedback they were giving you?
Do what you love.
Oh man. You're like, I wish you were my wife. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's horrible. I'm sure she was an amazing person. And that's the thing. That's a tough part of it, is that when two people aren't compatible, it doesn't necessarily mean that either one is a bad person. And that's the toughest part of that.
100%. And you know what? I think my purpose is not to, I just want to be happy, right? Like whatever, like maybe my time is not to be married or whatever. Like I just want to love life and like be happy and genuinely help more people. And if somebody great comes along again, that's awesome. You know, but I'm in no rush.
So now you're doing a lot, and your business is exploding, your online business, and you're helping people find themselves in fitness and business and like just kind of life in general, right? You want to talk a little bit about the Eric Balance now?
Sure, 100%. I mean, we have Balance Bodies. So Balance Bodies was my initial business. That's how it started, right? Like, so we help people, you know, transform their mind, their body, their fitness, right? So through their spirit, it's a spiritual way of doing it, but obviously, you know, we get into nutrition, health and fitness, right? So through our 12-week, 90-day programs, right? So, you know, we have a team that I have now that we implement and get you through that process. And then we've also unfolded myself and now Colin, who's also my partner in that business, Financially Fit. So him and I have developed Financially Fit Academy, and it's been it's been great. We have 20 clients all over Canada and the United States where they get. Actually, we even have a lady from Scotland who are wanting to show up at a high level and develop their own online businesses. So we have specific strategy that we've implemented through Collins and myself's, you know, journeys. You know, we talk about the 5 pillars, whether it's like, first of all, your product, your marketing, obviously sales, your operations, and your finance. We really dive deep into those 3 processes through our signature Financially Fit formula, right? So with that, you know, we've been able to help people, you know, transition slowly, develop, you know, a side hustle, a side income, and evolve their own personal branding as, you know, they're working their 9-to-5s. You know, so essentially I've become, as I've, you know, had my own mentors, I've also, and I continue to do, I still have a mentor, you know, and obviously I'm still going to Tony Robbins and still being mentored, right? But I've also become a mentor now, right? So I get to support others now and pay it forward. That to me is really huge because I get to, you know, help people unlock their potential and hold them to that limitless capacity that
raise your standards.
Raise your standards, it's like I said today, you know, shift your mindset, you will shift your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. So, and the best thing is that like you've got all this experience behind you, so you can take from all of that. I mean, and even like the whole balancing multiple jobs, like people appreciate that they're getting content and they're getting coaching or whatever inspiration from somebody who like cannot just relate, but knows even that extra level of what they're going through.
And it's not easy. Like, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. Like, building the businesses is not easy. It's not going to be easy. But it's going to be a lot harder if you don't ask the right questions or have the right people to support you, right? Nothing in this life is a guarantee. That's for sure. But if you don't do anything, if you don't get outside and get out of your own head or get out of your own way, that's certainly not going to change, right?
No, completely. Because I would say that's something that currently because my podcast at this point is, you know, we're starting it up. And there are so many other opportunities. Like when you get into the online platform, it's like you start seeing it. I'm starting to see it, right? It's like, oh my God, so many different opportunities. And I'm just like being real right now. But it's like, can I really monetize that? And I just had this conversation. I mean, you're like, for sure. I literally had a conversation with a girl yesterday who helps build brands like online sort of thing. And so she actually told me specifically, she was like, there are people like that she works with because she helps them that have not even half the story that you have, that are pushing their content and that are selling content because they show up and they firmly believe that they can help that other person.
Yep. There's no doubt in my mind. Zero. You're an awesome podcast. I'm just grateful to be a part of it. That's all.
Oh my God. Thank you
if
so much.
there's anything that I can do to support you, you just let me know.
Yeah, thank you so much. One last thing I wanted to ask you just to wrap things up. It's going to be my final question for you. And that is, what message or personal thought would you like to share with my listeners?
Yeah, so one thing that I've never forgot, and it was one thing that I've always lived by and that has stuck in my head since I've read it. Victor Hugo said, "There's nothing like a dream to create your future."
There's nothing like a dream to create your future. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
It all starts up here.
That's right.
I love it. To the audience, if you wanted to reach out to Eric or check out any of his programs or connect online, you can access him through his email, which is Eric, ERIC, at ericbalance.com. His website is ericbalance.com. And he has Instagram, 2 accounts. His personal account is at Eric Balance, and at Balance Bodies Fitness is another fitness page where you can check out what his team is doing and how they add value to their clients. So that page, again, is at Balance Bodies Fitness. Thank you guys so much for listening today. And Eric, thank you so much for being here. That concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, feel inspired, and would like to hear more, please subscribe to the Relentless Minds podcast via the link in the show notes or visit LoriJimenez.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.